Dave Ardito on visual arts.
Hi, everybody. First of all, let me thank you for every time this exhibit in the school committee room rotates for reading the teachers' statements about the artwork. It means a lot to the teachers, it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to the students. And to devote the time to that is remarkable. So thank you for doing that every time. Also, thanks for giving me the time to summarize what has been going on in the art department over the last several years. I haven't seen you in quite a while, so I have some catching up to do. I've divided my remarks into 3 categories: Not Your Grandmother's Art Education, aka curriculum highlights; community connections, including public art projects; and the future. What are we planning in the very near future to make even more improvements? So, what do art teachers really teach? I think if you go back to your own art education, I think you'd find it very different from what they're doing today, not only in terms of what they're making, but what they're trying to instill in children. The K-12 art program has changed significantly in recent years here in Arlington. The primarily recreational and superficial approach to teaching art has given way to an academic and holistic approach that defines visual art as a core curriculum or a core discipline. We believe we are empowering students to practice and apply these essential thinking skills and habits of mind. It was interesting that CS also teaches to habits of mind. You'll see in a second that ours are in some cases similar, in some cases very different. We teach to the state and national arts curriculum standards, but we think we go way beyond them. We use them as points of departure. We have restructured the K-12 art curriculum around these 8 studio habits, and every project, every assignment, and every critique reinforces these habits for every student in all grades. We believe that these habits of mind have enormous educational value to all students, not just the gifted and talented. If all students practice these 8 habits every year for 13 years, these strategies really do become habits of mind that last them a lifetime. Because of the time factor, I'll describe just 3 or 4 of them to give you an idea of what they mean and what kind of benefits they deliver. Students are learning to engage and persist in their work. That is, to develop focus and other mental states conducive to working hard and persevering at all tasks. When engaging and persisting, students don't let failure discourage them. We don't penalize failure. We teach students to accept it, to push through it, and even expect failure as an essential part of the creative process. Stretching and exploring is to reach beyond their own capacities, to explore playfully without a preconceived plan, and to embrace and even celebrate the opportunity to learn from mistakes and accidents. Envisioning is one of my favorites. It's learning to step back from your work and to picture mentally what cannot be directly observed. It sounds like a scientist might be thinking that way. And to imagine possible next steps in making art or doing anything for that matter. We believe that every student can envision and thereby discover their own best artistic solutions. Reflect. That is to question, explain, and evaluate, to think, talk, and write with others about an aspect of one's work or working process. Students take part in numerous critiques, assessments, and exhibits, like the one you see here, where they are asked to apply standards and form personal opinions about their work and the work of others. So these other habits, these are the other 4, and I won't explain those in detail, but I hope you'll have a chance to read the descriptors of them. They're just as essential as the other 4. Their understanding art world has to do with them becoming familiar with especially contemporary art and express is sort of self-evident. So, how else have we been changing things? We are shifting away from teaching about just dead white male artists to teaching about contemporary female and male artists from every world culture. This includes teaching students that so many things in their own lives, their ancestry, things that are happening right now, socially and politically, locally and globally, and artistically, can motivate and inform their art making. Students learn that their personal feelings, their own fears, their dreams, and their beliefs can be and should be the subject matter of their art. This is so much beyond the mistaken concept that art serves only to develop, to decorate walls and refrigerators and to make us feel good on a very superficial level.
It's beautiful.
Speaking of technology, we are expanding the use of technology at every grade level. We are introducing tools and media that broaden the high school art curricula to include digital photography, video and animation, and we are using iPads for research and art making at the elementary and middle school levels. We are part of the initial efforts to introduce STEAM. We put the A back in STEM at every level. This coincides with our belief in integrated learning that helps students understand the interconnectedness of all disciplines. With the help of the Education Foundation, we are building toward a full digital media lab at the high school. This doesn't show up too well in this kind of light, but this is a beautiful digital photograph done by a high school junior, where she's manipulated this in Photoshop, that diving friend of hers. Other recent changes. There's a significant change in the way we teach and approach observational drawing. We've been reevaluating the role drawing has in the curriculum. You know, I think the average person really values realistic work, realistic paintings, realistic drawing. But we don't devalue that, but we value things in addition to that. We are defining drawing in much more individualistic terms, seeing it as yet another way for students to interpret what they observe in the world around them. We see their observational drawings as personal responses rather than rote recordings that must look all the same. I had the staff do a common reading, a book by Nancy Smith called Observational Drawing with Children, and it changed everybody's attitude toward drawing realistically. That forcing realistic drawing on children is a sure way of discouraging so many children. I believe in the art teacher as artist model in art education. Making art and teaching art are symbiotic. So I've been encouraging all K through 12 art teachers to make their own art at every chance they get. And they don't have a lot of time during the week. But they can go at it during the weekend, they can go at it during vacations, and they can certainly make their own art during the summer, and I really promote that with them. When a teaching vacancy occurs in Arlington, I ask that candidates show evidence of their own recent artwork and that they have a solid grasp of contemporary art forms. We have a significant number of art teachers who are not only creating their own art, but are also exhibiting it on a regular basis, including yours truly. Mm-hmm. At the elementary level, art teachers are talking about ways to implement more student-centered, choice-based art classes as a way to reinforce authentic artistic behaviors in children. Part of this strategy is to set up a variety of media stations in the art room at the same time so that students can choose their materials and projects that target their creative interests on that given day. Participation in the recent National Art Education Convention by 5 of our art teachers, thanks to the assistant superintendent, added inspiration to try these innovative strategies. I'm proud of Arlington art teachers who are starting to present regularly at both the state and national conventions. As you know, we have improved the schedule for elementary art teachers, and this has dramatically improved our art programs in every elementary school, and I thank you for your role in that. We are developing common assessments at all 3 levels and coordinating the curriculum in every grade and in every commonly taught high school art course. We have, for the first time in a long, long time, art clubs at every level, elementary, middle school, and high school. So, on to our community connections. That was a long time ago, but that was our first real attempt at a public art project in Arlington. The Public Art Committee initiated that. I worked closely with them, and these are, that still is up at Spy Pond at the Boys and Girls Club, and those 4 individual panels were designed by high school students. I think it is essential for school arts programs to develop meaningful relationships with the community, and we have done just that over the past 8 years. We want students to have the opportunity to not only benefit from community resources, but to also give back to the town that has nurtured them most of their lives. The Inside Out project is just a stellar example of a school getting involved in the community. This was in response to the hateful graffiti that had been perpetrated against Ottoson and against the community, and the 3 art teachers at the middle school committed themselves to making this happen, as did the Education Foundation and the local cultural council. Those are still up, but they're rapidly falling off, and hopefully they'll come all the way off at some point, so we don't have to sandblast the school. But that effort was astounding on so many levels. Almost every department in town got involved in it in one way or another. And I think another stellar example is the Youth Banner Project. And if you walk down Mass Ave right now, you'll see 20 banners designed by Arlington High School students and I believe 1 Ottoson student. And this project honors, and it's an ongoing project, it'll happen every year. It honors the short life of Arlington student Gracie James, while responding to important themes such as this year's theme, Compassionate Community. 20 beautiful large banners are hung now along Mass Ave. We are strongly connected to so many groups in town. To the Arlington Center for the Arts. Students intern there. They take art courses. We hold student and staff exhibits there, including images of Arlington, like you see here, for all 5th graders, and teen visions and voices for secondary students. The ACA awards a merit scholarship to a graduating high school student each year, and the art teachers teach classes there. One of the art teachers is even on the ACA board. We have forged a strong relationship with the Arlington International Film Festival, collaborating on a visiting artist program, if you remember the Winfred Rembert visit of several years past, film presentations, young filmmakers competitions, and the festival's poster contest. This award-winning student poster went on to become the festival's logo for who knows how long. We are connected to ACMi in similar ways. Right now at the Town Hall, there's a K-12 art show. That's an annual event every year, one of my favorites. And we would love for you to attend the reception for students and their art teachers on May 25th. I'll send you more information about that, from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. This is open to the public for just about a month during late April and May, mostly every year. We also use the Robbins and Fox libraries to display student artwork. We have an ongoing relationship with Mass College of Art and Design, hosting their student teachers, sending our graduating seniors to study there, and filling Arlington teaching vacancies with the best prepared candidates in the region. We also send students in grades 3 through 12 to study art in Mass Arts Saturday Studios program, which I actually supervised for many years. Most recently, we are working with the Human Rights Commission to conduct a high school logo contest for its new Arlington for All initiative, and 17 high school students were part of a major cultural planning focus group organized by the Arlington Commission on Arts and Culture and the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. The Arlington Foundation and the Education Foundation and the Arlington Cultural Council have been so supportive of numerous art department initiatives, resulting in visiting artists, special projects, professional development, new curriculum, courses in digital media, and so much more. Our local PTOs have also been very supportive of our teachers in each school. FoodLink supports our exhibit receptions. We keep the community informed about the K-12 visual art events and accomplishments through Kathy's monthly newsletters, the Town Meeting Book, a public K-12 visual art Google Plus community. I have to figure out how to invite you to that, and school art program websites and blogs. A list of related links are available to you. I'll make those available to you along with these notes later tonight. We participate in numerous contests and competitions, group shows, including the Scholastic Art Awards, Art All-State, Photography Contest, the Lexington Society of Arts and Crafts, a high school regional exhibit. So I'll show you quickly, because of the time, some of the amazing projects that have happened over the last 2 years in all of our schools. The Art, Food, and Community Project at Thompson, where hundreds of fourth graders made bowls that they eventually gave to the Arlington Eats group, and that were sold to raise money for the needy in Arlington. We even had students painting the sculptural gargoyles at the firehouse in Arlington Center. And right outside the high school is this transformer box, and students have been applying and creating designs for doing more transformer boxes all around town. This is one of my favorite projects of all. It's called the Big Little Project. And what happens is a kindergartner or first grader creates a two-dimensional drawing of a monster or a creature, and an eighth grader gets to choose from those drawings and create a three-dimensional interpretation of it. Then they get together at an exhibit over at Ottoson, the kindergartner or first grader and the eighth grader, and they talk about it. In the meantime, the eighth grader has written the kindergartner a note explaining why they loved their piece and why they did a three-dimensional sculpture of it. It's fantastic. I just want to take the time to explain this project. So this is also at Ottoson. It's called the Remix Project. But the most important thing is to read the artist's, I think it was 6th grade, comment as she did this. So she's reinterpreting the painting on the right, which happens to be an old Dutch master, Vermeer. You're probably familiar with it because a book was written about it, and there was a movie made of it called A Girl with a Pearl Earring. But here's what the student wrote about it. I chose this painting because I liked how she looked like she was perfect. And I thought how I could manipulate it. I remixed it by making it look like she was getting plastic surgery. I chose to do that because of all the pressure society puts on girls and how they should be perfect. It gives you an idea of the comments I made earlier about the curriculum, that so many things now can motivate student art. Even this girl's consciousness of social pressures. And then she goes on to say, I had trouble blending out the light and dark colors. So she was thinking about other artistic things as well. We had a tremendous support of the Japanese visit through the art teacher at Dowling just very recently. This young girl, fourth or fifth grader, created 1,000 cranes, origami cranes in honor of the Japanese visit. And this student just recently won the poster contest, Make Way for Children, the Department of Transportation poster contest. And he says, be sure to look both ways for their massive wheeled machines humans call cars. We have a showcase it changes every month along with this exhibit. If you click on that visual arts showcase, you'll see a slideshow of student art in addition to this. And there's our Google Art community. So quickly, the art staff and I have been involved in planning for the high school rebuild and Gibbs renovation, just to let you know we're on top of that. We are constantly reevaluating our courses at the high school. Especially, we have expanded our one-semester course offerings. We have created exciting new courses such as painting, ceramics, and mixed media, sculpture, and we are working toward having a full digital media lab within the art department. We are rethinking and probably revamping our basic art courses called Art 1 and Art 2. More on that later. We would love to get parents even more involved in their children's art education. I want to reinvigorate the Friends of Art that we started a few years back but needs a bit of a kick. And this group can advocate for the continuation of a strong and vital K-12 art program. And lastly, I am very grateful to be working with some of the finest art educators in the profession. Working as a team, they are giving an extraordinary art education to thousands of Arlington students. So thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Dr. Bodie and I were at an event for the athletic department, so we're just getting here. Thank you for the presentation. We came in the middle of it. Do school committee members have questions? Mr. Schlickman? Mr. President?
Yeah, thank you. A couple things that you stated that I'd like to follow up on. First of all, you were talking about observational drawing. I'm assuming that's when you have the artist look at something and interpret it somehow. So I'm just sort of trying to put my frame on the definition so that in reflection, what I'm hearing you saying is that in terms of observational drawing, you're not requiring them to be a camera and photograph it on paper, but to somehow interpret the experience of looking at this. Was that sort of?
That's really close, yeah. That's pretty much it. And you're right, it is, observational drawing requires that you're actually looking at something, whether it's a model, a pose, students pose for each other all the time, still life, material, landscape. Students are taken outside to do that even. But yeah, the expectations are different in that, I mean, this book I mentioned by Nancy Smith goes into the idea that students respond to different aspects of a given object. So one student might be really taken by the texture of an object. So they would emphasize that in their drawing of it. Another student might be interested in the actual shape of the object. So if you get what I mean, it's like an individualistic response to that object, not a predictable, predetermined response to it, like it has been true for so long.
Yeah, I'm sort of looking at that water bottle there, and the way the light is bending on the top of it is kind of cool. But
Exactly.
yeah. Secondly, you made a statement and you went past it, and it's like burying your lead in journalism. You talked about how thank you very much because the changes in the schedule allowed us to do many more wonderful things in elementary education, and then went past it. But that's sort of an important thing, I think. So if you could elaborate just how that made things better for art.
Well, it added 5 minutes to each period, so you're going to get more focus when students can sit and work on one thing for a longer period of time. You get even a disproportionate increase in involvement and commitment to a piece of art. I mean, you gain a lot more than the 5 minutes in a way. It's done a bunch of things, especially in terms of reducing teacher stress, because you have fewer changes, fewer preparations, fewer cleanups. We've even built in some transition time between classes, so it's helped in that regard, just having teachers be able to breathe. And but it's left more room in that single period for a student for assessment. So students, that 5 minutes, instead of being used for a rushed cleanup, the cleanup can come at the very end of the class, but before that we now have time for increased show and tell, increased gallery walks, increased discussions about student work. So that's a big gain. It also gives teachers a little bit more time for presentations, and so you're not taking as much time away from hands-on work.
Yeah, I just also want to say that I admire your thoughts about hiring art teachers who are artists and asking them to show. I know that when I've hired, I've looked for those similar kind of things, and one of the things I remember from my junior high art teacher is he was always out painting barns someplace, landscapes and old barns, and I still remember that. I mean, it brought his art and his thought and his creativity into the process.
I'm a little careful about it, because you could ask me the question, can there be a good art teacher who also doesn't make art on their own? And I've seen that. And so I'm cautious about this. It's not a slam dunk. It's not 100% true in all cases. But I like it when I see that a teacher has committed themselves to making art, at least creating exemplars for students, and really immersing themselves into that project at home and beyond the classroom. So I have to admit, I love that we have, I would say out of the 12 art teachers that we have, I would say 8 of them are actively making art and exhibiting it.
Mr. Carden, you had a question?
Yes, thank you. I wondered if you could talk a little bit more about how you go about implementing the sort of curriculum type changes, like the choice-based art room and changing the focus of the painters. It's not like, you have like, this is your new science kit and this is, how you change your lesson plan. And I happen to have 2 kids at 2 different elementary schools, and there does seem to be quite, one who seems to have embraced those things and one who seems to have not embraced some of those things. So could you talk a little bit about your implementation of those items?
By that you mean, how would a choice-based art room work?
And how do you get your teachers to do that? Yeah.
Actually, the teachers are, the 6 elementary art teachers are the people who are the most enthusiastic about trying this after they saw good examples of that in progress at the National Art Education Convention recently. It's a lot of work. It means a different approach to management, a lot more prep, and to some degree a lot more cleanup. And it means a shift of responsibility to the student for a lot of that. But the basic idea is, it's also called teaching artistic behavior, TAB, which was invented a few years ago, where, when you're an artist, you don't get directions from somebody else and sit down and follow those directions exactly. You think about what you want to make. It's influenced by your day, your mood, so many different things, your passions, again, your ancestry, everything that's unique about you. And teachers want to acknowledge that and somehow bring that into the art room. It presents challenges because you could have 3 different projects going on at the same time. You're not going to have students do anything they want. You're going to structure those 3 areas within the art room. But we're going to give it a try. We think it's better for students. It empowers them. It really does teach them how to be an artist in a more realistic way.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you. I think we got to move on to the next presentation. So thanks so much.
Thank
Great
you.
presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.